Hello, everybody. Let me get the comments off your face there. How's everybody doing?
You like to obstructing my face in new and exciting ways.
No. Someone said I combed my hair. I did not. Just pulled it back. How dare you? How dare you say I combed my hair?
You know, actually, Lee's the only one who does brushes. I do not brush mine.
I don't know how to brush, technically.
Whatever. Comb it. Run your fingers through it lusciously.
I do a lot of running my fingers through it. I comb it with my luscious fingers.
Ugh.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's already gotten weird. It never takes long when Eleanor Goldfield is joining the show. Oh, wait, I forgot to start the background moving.
What?
There we go. We got to have the globe moving in the background. You know,
that
makes all the difference.
Noticed.
You've never noticed that it moves? Wow.
No.
You've never noticed where you are?
Not really there.
Thanks for being here. Please click thumbs up and let's get into it. We got a lot of stories for you. The suicide epidemic in the Air Force. Oh, yeah. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word on YouTube. You really can't say anything on YouTube without getting suppressed. Suicide? Because they think you're like recommending it or something. I don't know. We're going to get to the ICE-Israel connection and so much more. So please click thumbs up and share and all those good things. But I want to start off with a little good news about our sandwich hurling hero. I didn't even mean for that to be a pun. Our hero hurling hero. He's our hero.
Oh, God.
I'm sure I cannot be the first to have made the hero joke. There's no way I'm the first. Anyway, did you see, everybody, that he got acquitted? The jury did not find that he had done anything wrong.
Did anyone else read some of the transcript from the courtroom? Because it's some of the most amazing courtroom transcript I have personally ever seen in my entire life.
We'll see if there's some quotes in this article.
I wonder if the court reporter just started crying, laughing, like quietly shaking while they're...
Probably. Thank you, Dan, for supporting the show. I should have said here, some people may not remember, this video went viral of in Washington, D.C., the National Guard and all these goons, federal goons are there, and this guy is screaming at him. Turns out he's like ex-Air Force or something. But the hero. He was screaming at them to get the hell out of the city. I'm using lighter language than he was. And he had just gotten a Subway sandwich, and ultimately he hurls it at the guy's chest, and it, as they say in the court, or as the police officer said, it exploded on my chest.
That verbiage is not...
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a porn video he was watching. But Sean C. Dunn is the man, and he done did it, didn't he?
Oh my God!
He got it done.
That's your last pun of the hour.
That's just I'm just getting warmed up. Our hero got it done. Come on, everybody. Sean C. Dunn.
Scoot? Is it too early for me to scoot?
You can flee. You can flee the live stream. Sean C. Dunn, the man who pitched a sandwich at the chest of a federal agent. That's not the Onion. Oh, and there were onions involved. Wow. I really am punning it up today.
I don't know if that counts as a pun because...
Well, it's not the Onion because the Onion's coming up. The police officer said an onion got stuck to his walkie-talkie or something.
Yes, and that was very traumatizing for him.
It's amazing.
Have you ever gotten an onion stuck to your walkie-talkie?
I'm sure.
It takes you years to get over that shit.
I can't imagine that this guy has gotten over it, this federal officer, when he got hit with this sandwich. Anyway, this is yet another example of the Trump administration trying to prosecute people in some sort of like crazy, like anti-terror laws when they try and stand up against literally Trump's and the federal goons' terrorism. But they failed. He got acquitted. So some good news there. And here's another good news thing before we get to Suey's. This is in Congress. And look, I've said this many times, the parties don't matter. And unfortunately, this is a Republican actually asking this question because the parties are meaningless now. Of the Boeing CEO, and he's asking him how much he gets paid. And
Wait, why? What's the context of this? Why was he even asking?
I think they were coming down hard on Boeing for not treating their workers well. But anyway, it doesn't mean this Republican Hawley is a good guy. He's a piece of human garbage. But every once in a while they get to showboat that they care about the worker when in fact they don't. But that's not really the point. The point is, watch the Boeing CEO try to avoid saying how much he gets paid for his stupid, awful job of making weapons to kill children.
What is it that you get paid currently?
Senator, that's well disclosed in our proxy documents in each of the years that I've been employed.
Yeah, but what is it?
That's a big number, sir.
Well, let me help you out. It's $32.8 million this year. Does that sound right?
Yes, it does.
That's a 45% increase over last year. Does that sound right?
Yes, it does.
You've got 32,000 machinists. These are American workers who work for you. These are Boeing employees in the Pacific Northwest. Well, they got 1% wage increases over 8 years. 1% over 8 years. You got a 45% increase just last year, and you're making $33 million. Do you think maybe these folks deserve a raise?
I want to know what he answered.
I very much want to know what he answered, but that is still the point is the same. I'm sure he dodged it somehow, but this is the level of inequality in America. It's fucking egregious. And you know, as we can say, this congressperson, even though they're asking the right questions, they won't come to the right answer, which is capitalism always ends up here. It always ends up with a tiny handful of people getting paid some insane amount of money while people struggle across this country. And I just covered it the other day. You actually alerted me to this story that 49% of children in this country are growing up either in poverty or in low income.
And that's based on, so Oxfam uses the U.S. established, like definitions of poverty, and they're ludicrous. So for a family of 4, 2 adults, 2 children, if you make $1 over $30,900 a year, you're not poor. Now I was making about 30 grand when I was 18, working at a recording studio in 2005 in LA. And I had to rent a room in a person's apartment. So the idea that a family of 4 making that today is on the cusp of being not poor it's dumb. So again, I think it's important to, like, when we talk statistics, it's also important to see, like, okay, but what's the context of these stats? And the context of that Oxfam report is horrifying on its own, but then you realize, but you're going by, and it's not their fault. Of course, they have to have some kind of metrics, but they're going by what the US calls poverty, which anybody else would be like, well, that's extreme poverty. And anything, between that and some other number that's like double that is still poor. So in reality, the number is far higher. So it's significantly more than 50% of children in this country are growing up in poverty.
Exactly. And meanwhile, you have these absolute sleazeball parasites, and many of them, like this man, literally look like a penis. And they're making $30 to $40 million a year. And that's not even talking like the Elon Musks of the world, who just got a $1 trillion pay package approved by Tesla. If Elon Musk achieves the numbers allotted in the pay package, like doubling Tesla's whatever worth, he will get $1 trillion. It's so, I don't know. I use the term revolting. I've said many times, I've run out of adjectives to describe any of this shit other than a collapsing, vapid empire of extraction. But that being said, let's move on. Let's move on to people who are not wealthy, who are not incredibly rich, who join our armed forces, our Department of War, and how well the system treats them and how they're doing.
So,
one thing I got to say before we do that. Sorry. I did this the other day. I'll do it again. If we get to $100 of super chats, I will do an extra 15 minutes at the end of the hour. I have plenty of stories to cover for you if we get there, but I'm just letting you know that would be amazing. Obviously, that doesn't mean each person has to throw in a ton of money. It could just be a bunch of people throwing a small amount. And anyway, thanks for supporting the show. Okay.
And now back to the news.
Back to your nightly news.
So this is I remember years ago, like 10, 15 years ago, people talking about the suicide rates in the armed forces. and noting that they were obviously considerably higher than the regular, like or like the civilian population. Now, this story, it's come from The Intercept, and it's speaking specifically to the Air Force. And I think what's important to note here is that the Air Force experienced a considerably low amount of combat deaths in the past decade. And yet, the Freedom Information Act that was obtained by The Intercept shows that of the 2,200 active duty Air Force deaths between 2010 and 2023, 926, about 41%, were suicides, overdoses, or preventable deaths.
What percentage was it?
41%.
Wow.
That is astronomical levels, particularly when you consider the fact that, like the combat deaths were minimal, right? So, and this is something that the Air Force has really, really tried to hide, or like just the military industrial complex in general. So basically they're pointing out here that the DoD, or the Department of War, whatever the hell we're calling it now, has historically been obstinate in its refusal to supply detailed data on suicides. In 2022, the NDAA mandated that the Defense Department report suicides by year, career field, duty status, etc., but neither the department nor the Air Force complied. Now, this is not surprising if you know anything about like what they comply with regards to shit they're supposed to do.
I mean, in every level, you see that the Pentagon and the CIA, et cetera, are completely unaccountable. Every once in a while, Congress or some department in the government will say, you have to do this thing. You have to audit yourselves. You have to tell us how much you're spending on this. You have to tell us how many people died here or there. They just fucking don't do it. Who's going to stop them? Who's going to really march into the Pentagon and change anything? Fucking no one.
No.
Even if you wanted to, you couldn't find out who's working there. They don't know who's working there. They don't know where shit is. Hey, how are you going to find
There's
people?
just like $50,000 like in a shoebox and
Literally. Defense Secretary Gates said he couldn't find out how many people worked in each department. I always said, if you need a job, show up to the Pentagon, say you work there. They can't prove you don't.
So one of the things that they highlight is the extreme working conditions of so-called maintainers. These are the people that, like, you'll see it like on an aircraft carrier, the people that are getting like the plane ready to go, and then it goes, and then the national anthem plays or whatever the fuck.
and they rub themselves. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And so they represent a third of these suicides. So they're people that don't see combat at all, really. And this is something that also then goes to show, like, this is an example of kind of like how the entire system, even outside the military, views this kind of labor, as in it doesn't give a shit. And as one person said, the phrase mission first, but people always. To the Air Force, maintainers are just a crowd of nameless, faceless people. Their job is to scurry about and get the planes ready. Leadership doesn't care as long as the aircraft can fly. It's just mission first. And they point out that a lot of these folks are addicted to things like steroids. So another person who requested anonymity.
I would assume they steroid test every day at the military.
I'm sorry. I misread. He was saying that this is the idea of doing more with less on steroids, not that they are personally on steroids, but what their Air Force is doing is
they are. He just wasn't saying it right there.
They plan to consolidate more than 50 aircraft maintenance specialties into 7 starting in 2027. So basically they're things are getting consolidated. More and more people that are considered like not important, but that like literally the planes wouldn't go without them. But that's very US, isn't it? Like the essential workers that were so important during COVID, literally making, $2 an hour. So I think, this is indicative of of the larger issue of veteran deaths and suicides, but it's also kind of, I found it interesting in a really dark way, obviously, that it kind of coincides with this paradigm that the US has about this kind of labor in general, that the workers that aren't the one, like Tom Cruise in Top Gun was not the guy shuffling, getting the plane ready to take off, right? He was the guy in the.
It'd be kind of amazing if Hollywood made a big blockbuster movie about the guy with the orange batons. He's like, all the stress of waving the batons.
Look, you try to figure out where the hell you're supposed to park without that guy, okay?
The guy
Essential work.
loading the carry-on bags into the.
I don't think they have carry-ons.
Oh, no luggage for the people in the military? I think you're wrong. But can I just, before I forget this, I think we're hitting on a theme here. Workers, the average person, the not top dog of whatever industry, fill in the blank, treated like garbage.
Yes.
Military, we were just covering Boeing workers. Coming up, we got something on Starbucks workers. It's almost like there's a theme here.
That's what I'm
Of
saying, Lee.
our
Thank you for
system.
picking up on the thematic vibe that
Okay.
I'm putting down
I
here.
like it. I like
Thank
it.
you.
Yep.
The other thing that is
Boom.
also
Up
very
top.
the other thing that is also very that felt very broy.
I know.
Are we
That
bumping
wa-
chests
that-
now?
That's why I'm laughing. I have never said up top in my life. I just knew it'd be funny.
I definitely felt like we needed to go to bumping chests after that. Okay. The other thing that is very reminiscent in particular of places like police forces is one person said, mental health in the military is a joke if you don't take it into your own hands. If I had gone through the proper chain of command and hadn't just signed myself up for treatment, I'd be screwed right now. So, and every maintainer who spoke to The Intercept said that they had lost a friend or unit member to suicide, overdose, or a tragic accident before their first enlistment ended, often before the age of 22. These are children who are committing suicide.
And it's like, even if you aren't the guys that are pushing the buttons that kill children, which that fucks up people immensely, and even if you're not in the field shooting at innocent people in Iraq or Afghanistan, as you can see, you're still seeing or hearing about or finding out about friends dying on a regular basis. Like, there are so many levels of fucked upness in this bloodthirsty war machine. You don't have to be hiding behind a building in Fallujah shooting at kids to end up having your life and your brain and your emotional well-being destroyed by this goddamn machine.
And speaking of being destroyed by the machine, the other thing that's interesting here is that, like, again, these are not people that are, I mean, the maintainers. There are, of course, some people who have seen combat that have also committed suicide in the Air Force, and I'm not trying to discount that. But their focus a lot on in this article is on these maintainers. So they're not people who are committing suicide because of the PTSD that they've experienced through being in combat, but they point out maintainers face constant exposure to chemicals, irregular schedules, and extreme noise. Fighter jets can reach 195 decibels during takeoff. That's far above the Air Force's hearing conservation limits of 85 decibels over 8 hours.
Ooh, I have a fun fact about that. Go ahead.
So, and it says, even with double hearing protection, vibrations can shake internal organs. And people who work there have talked about it feeling like your insides are just like bags of like fish organs being jostled around.
Well, this goes to how we think of injuries as being things that you can see on people. Like if they get, bloodied or something, we go, oh, that really hurts them. If every time one of these jets flew away, the guy with the orange baton walked away with blood spurting out of his ears, we'd probably say this needs to change. But if it's hurting you in other ways, if you're getting CTE from stuff in the military, if you're getting your organs realigned by these jets as they take off, no one cares. There's zero attention unless it's like blood coming out of your face.
Well, and they point out that in some of these shifts are 12 to 16 hours. That's 12 to 16 hours of being exposed to shit that literally rattles your brain. And they maintainers have described it as feeling like the sound is piercing their skull from the mouth up and ripping off the top of their head.
Good God.
Every maintainer interviewed reported chronic health problems, including insomnia, headaches, digestive issues such as irritable bowel syndrome or constipation, memory lapses, attention deficits, depression, anxiety, and in some cases, psychosis. This is what happens when you're literally like the human body was not meant to be exposed to this kind of shit for any amount of time, much less 12 to 16-hour days continuously over shorter periods of time.
And it shows the just complete disregard for humanity. I mean, this entire military system is built on a disregard for humanity. Now, most Americans believe that has to do only with the others. We disregard their lives. The fact that we killed 6 million people in the global war of terror, that doesn't matter because that's 6 million over there. Those are the others. But the idea that people's lives are being destroyed over here, or Americans, or quote unquote service members who are serving their country, that is a bigger deal. But of course, all of these things are ignored or shoved under the carpet. Also, there is a whole culture within the military of being tough enough to handle it. So do you think they're complaining that the sound hurts their heads and that they have depression now? Fucking no. They're not telling anyone because that's not tough enough. That's not Army of One, right? Thank you, Jay Blue, for donating. That's $3. We also got Indy B donated $20 on Rumble. So we're already at like $35. So we're getting close. Okay, go ahead.
Speaking of you had mentioned like coughing up blood. They can also do that, however, because there's something called chaff, which involves releasing clouds of tiny metallic strips from an aircraft to confuse enemy radar and protect the aircraft from detection or missile targeting. Inhaling chaff can be fatal, as the tiny metallic or fiberglass fibers can shred lung tissue, causing severe respiratory distress or hemorrhaging. Lovely. And the other thing is like, and jet fuel, of course, can be absorbed through the skin. All maintainers who worked on the active flight line said that they experienced near constant exposure, with fuel sometimes pouring into their ears, mouth, or onto their skin for entire shifts. Yeah. And here's the thing. Air Force enlistment typically lasts 4 years, and you're just in it. And so they're literally talking about how maintainers painted a picture of such intense suffering and mental anguish that for some, suicide seemed more bearable than serving out the 4 years of enlistment. And of course, this is why would they want to comply and like actually make this information public? Of course, they're going to try to hide it. Of course, they're going to try to pretend that it's not happening. And there's a lot more in this article. It's really despicable and it's horrifying, and I wish Hegseth could work as a maintainer for the next like 4 years of his ridiculous life. But the saying, I wish for you whatever you wish for your the people of this country. So this is really horrifying, and it's absolutely no surprise that it's been covered up like this. And I think, somebody made a point, nobody cares about veterans until it can be politicized. I think this is a really good point, and also a reminder. And I think that actually the anti-war movement has done a really good job of this in my time, of really making connections with veterans and building those bridges, because they have experiences that we civilians can't understand. And they are the best bridge to their fellow veterans and active duty folks as well. So I think it's really important to, not try to cut off our empathy right before it gets to veterans or active duty folks. It's like, I think some people think, oh, there's all these jacked up, roided up people that just love killing babies. It's like, okay, there are those. Yes. Had IDF, but like, I think that's not everybody, right? Especially when you have in this country the economic draft, where people literally look at joining the military as their only chance to get a college education or, I don't know, healthcare. So I think it's really important to recognize that the suffering isn't just something that is meted out by the military upon others, which of course it is, but it's also internalized quite literally and figuratively.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ratso and 2Fs, for supporting the show. Really appreciate it. I now have a clip that's got a nice little palate cleanser.
These are my friends in Germany.
Speaking of weapons and these horrible weapon systems, this is Ende Gelände in Germany blocking weapons shipments. So let's watch that clip for a minute.
€500 million. This is how German tax money was used to fuel the genocide in Gaza for over 2 years now. After the US, Germany is the second largest exporter of war weapons to Israel, killing hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, making Gaza uninhabitable. Pivot point in all of this, the Hamburg harbor. Here, the ships get loaded with all kinds of weaponry by companies who are profiting from genocide. Destination, Palestine. Although Merz announced pseudo-weapon embargo in August,
Wir können nicht Waffen liefern.
weapons worth millions are still being sent to Israel. Germany hasn't stopped being complicit in genocide, apartheid, and ethnic cleansing of Palestinians.
No more weapons to Israel.
Stop the German complicity.
There will never be climate justice on occupied land. Stop the logistics of destruction at Hamburg Harbor and militarization. Our harbor belongs to us.
So yeah, they did that awesome tactic of blocking the rail lines, which were going to the harbor, which bring the weapons to go on the ships to go to Israel to kill children. And so I'd be surprised if many people other than the legislature in Germany can call that wrong.
Well, and it's interesting too because the Germans have, and I did a tour in Germany with my film a couple of years ago, and I had this conversation with the one of the folks from Ende Gelände because it was it was basically a coal tour. And for those folks who don't know, Ende Gelände is originally an anti-coal organization that has done amazing work occupying and holding space in these. I'm not kidding when I tell you, like the largest open pit coal mines in the world. And the largest like rolling machinery that exists on the planet is meant for these open pit coal mines. It is horrific. Like as far as the eye can see, just an open pit coal mine in parts of Germany. And the person who was with me was saying that, you know, Germans have a really hard time with and this was, I mean, we were talking about Palestine. This was, you know, this was like January 2023. So nothing started on October 7th. I feel like everybody here knows that.
Wait, what?
See me after class if you're confused.
I'm gonna look this up.
Do. And because I think a lot of us are like, oh, I've got a racist Uncle Bob, but like these people literally have Nazis.
A lot of us have the racist Uncle Bob.
These people literally have grandparents who were like actual Nazis, not just like agreed with the idea, but like actually did the things.
Not Nazi-ish. Nazi. Full on.
Full.
Full.
And so there's like this incredible weight of trying to be like, we're not that anymore. We're not doing the thing. And of course that is causing the government and unfortunately a lot of Germans to be like, we just are going to stand with Israel. But luckily, a lot of folks have eyes and a soul, I guess, and are willing to accept that it's genocide and it's horrific and Israel is an apartheid state that needs to be dismantled immediately. And so I think it's really awesome to see all of these German kids. I mean, not kids, but they're probably in their 20s.
We're old now and there are some kiddies doing some things.
These German folks doing this rad work and keep it up, y'all. It's beautiful.
Okay, so moving on our theme of workers and the average Americans being treated like garbage by the ruling elite, let's move on to Starbucks. And before we get to the workers fighting back against Starbucks, let's just remind people of one slight example of why Starbucks workers might be a little perturbed. Howard Schultz, founder of Starbucks, by the way, one of the top Zionist supporters in the world, has a new yacht. Its value is estimated at $300 million. Meanwhile, more than 12,000 Starbucks workers are still being denied a union contract.
I don't even understand. What do you do on a yacht that size? It's like bigger than most public libraries.
Much like the people sending the jets into the air, he's just jacking off. It's just you sit on your yacht and you jack off.
Like, do you have like a specific room for that, or just everywhere?
I mean, if you get the virtual tour, I assume you can see the jack off room, but I don't know. It's also owned by a jack off. But yes, $300 million yacht. I wonder how many Starbucks employees that could, afford to give them like $40 an hour for like 10 years.
Well, close to that amount, Lee, that since you brought it up, Starbucks has spent an estimated $240 million on union busting. I can't imagine what you could spend that money on instead.
There you go.
And with that, of course, a more perfect union has announced that yesterday, the union Starbucks baristas voted 92% in favor of a strike as Starbucks failed to negotiate a fair contract with workers. This could hit in over 25 cities on November 13th, which is something called Red Cup Day, which sounds like like you're on your period to me. Like, honestly, like, like the little period cups that they have. That's immediately what I thought.
You know what I think it sounds like? Because Starbucks supports the genocide, because Howard Schultz supports the genocide. It sounds like a cup of blood. Which
either way, you got a cup of blood.
I believe the activists last year, maybe the year before, were like handing out cups of blood or like fake blood to symbolize Starbucks' connection to the genocide. But Howard Schultz was given the top civilian honor in Israel for donating some crazy amounts of money to various Israeli causes.
So we'll see what happens next Thursday, but I also think that it's important to note, as a more perfect union does, that Starbucks CEO, so Lee was just talking about the founder, this is the current CEO, Brian Nickel, made $96 million. So remember way back at the beginning of the show when you were like shocked
way back
that Boeing dude makes $30 million a year? This guy made $96 million, wait for it, for 120 days of work. Now, my math ain't great, but I think that's less than half the year.
See, I was going to say 4 years, but I think you're closer. I think 120 days is less than half the year. $96 million fucking dollars. And there's actually, it's a unit of currency. It's fucking dollars.
And they also gifted him a private jet. If you're looking
just
for
as an
gift
extra,
ideas,
as a little perk. It was in a goodie bag. It wasn't even a big thing. And by the way, have you ever seen a more punchable face than that guy? Holy God.
I mean, they're all so punchable, aren't they?
Yeah. But this is as they fight all unions, as they try and make sure that that Starbucks workers can't have any power. And this, again, you have to think systemically. I hate when people take these stories and they say it just means Starbucks bad. Look at the deeper machinations. Look at the fact that this is how a capitalist system works. Look at the fact that Starbucks would not be the biggest coffee seller in the nation if they had unionized workers that were getting paid well. They might be doing fine, but they would not be the biggest in the nation. The biggest one is going to be the one that harms the workers the most. Same with Amazon, for example. Thank you, Jolly Lollipop, for supporting the show. I got it right?
It is a lot of L's, so my
Jalali. Yeah. Thank you so much.
I also want to point out that it would cost the company less than 1 day of sales to finalize the union's contract and resolve what they're asking for. Less than a day's
Is that really
sales.
a day?
Well, imagine how much Starbucks makes in a day. Like, I mean, so the idea that they don't have the money for it, I mean, it's bullshit. It is a I almost said theological, I guess, because money is God, but it is a ideological reason for not doing it, because they want their workers to be treated like trash. Because there's really no other reason for it. If you literally, it would take a day out of your salary to make the lives of the workers exponentially better, but you're not going to do it. Also, yes, boycott Starbucks, but
there's that one. So support the union efforts of the Starbucks employees.
And they do have crappy coffee. It tastes like dirty water. I don't understand why anybody likes it. Like I think I've had it The last time I had it was like years ago
I know
at
exactly.
an airport, and I only did it because I was getting a
I
caffeine
know
headache, and I was
exactly
like,
why.
"Oh."
I know exactly why people like it. It has 3 times the amount of caffeine as like a gas station coffee. And for a while, this is back when I was a kid, I was in my early 20s. And I mean, I'm still a coffee addict, but when I had the money for it, I was getting Starbucks fairly regularly because it was the easiest thing to find when I was walking the streets of New York. And because I didn't have an opinion either way about Starbucks. I wasn't boycotting them. I didn't love them, but
They're just there.
But 3 times the amount, when I found out it had 3 times the amount of caffeine, I was like, oh, that's why I leave Starbucks going, what a great day. Because we're hopped up on the fucking juice. Okay, let's get to some new information about ICE. But also before we do that, I want to, and the ICE-Israel connection as well. But let's promote a few things. You have an awesome event in Raleigh this weekend. So if people are near Raleigh.
Coming back to North Kakalaki, everyone. I grew up there.
She's from
so
there.
I can say that. So yeah, this is a great event that I'm putting on with the North Carolina Palestinian American Leadership, and it's going to be a beautiful event. It's ticketed so that more money can go to Gaza, basically. So you can go to this site. It's HTTP. Wait.
Don't worry about saying that shit. Just say bit.ly.
.ly.
And hold on.
Slash.
If you kill time, I will write it on the
okay.
screen.
So basically, it's going to feature, as all of these events do, if you're familiar with it, it's going to feature artwork by these artists who are in Gaza currently and need your support. And it's going to be a great event with music and crafts and food. And so I definitely recommend that folks come if you're anywhere in the Raleigh area. And what else was I going to say?
Well, so I now have it on the screen. It is bit.ly/Gaza to Gaza, with 2 being the number 2. But there's another key point, which is capitalization matters, unfortunately. The first Gaza is capitalized. The second one is not.
Not great,
So it's a capital G as in Gaza, then the number 2, then a lowercase g for Gaza. So if you're listening to the podcast,
on your toes.
If you're listening to the podcast and not looking at the screen right now, good fucking luck.
Also, if you're listening to the podcast, you already missed the event, so it's really not that pertinent for you. However,
that's a fair point.
However,
so screw you people who listen to the podcast.
However,
Take that.
in Baltimore,
someone wrote it down on his first URL.
Dude, okay. Can I just take this moment to remind everyone that I was an analog tech?
I know.
In recording studios, literally soldering things. I did analog work. I once almost completely wiped. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. But the Beatles engineer, their producer, I almost accidentally wiped his entire computer once, and I was never
with Beatles.
Yeah, obviously he had a bunch of shit on there that was
shit,
important,
but shit
part of rock and roll history.
Shit that no one heard from the Beatles was on there.
Anyway, so when it comes to digital shit, yes, I don't know what I'm doing. People think that thank you, George Martin. People think that because I was a tech, I must know what I'm doing. No, never ask me to come anywhere near your computer. However, if you have a tape machine
you're
that
watching
needs
the
aligned,
right kind of video,
if you've got a 1076 that needs to be fixed, or a tube amp that needs resoldering with the tubes.
Okay. Wait, I get it. They get the point.
I just needed to respond to the troll.
Oh my God. Do we need to list everything you did at the studio?
Oh, that would take forever.
So, and then another thing I want to announce is I have a live show in New York City, December 12th, about a month from now. I'm performing live, my first stand-up in New York City in 3 years. And it's with John F. O'Donnell, also from Redacted tonight. There is a small number of tickets because it's a tiny place. It's at tiny place. It's at tinyurl.com/Lee Cobra Club, because it's at the Cobra Club. Lee Cobra Club. tinyurl.com/Lee Cobra Club. And tickets are $10. It's gonna be a great time. Hope you'll come to that show. And then the last thing I want to promote is I had a Substack column that has gone viral over on Facebook and some other places. And because I'm so suppressed, this doesn't happen that often. So I hope you'll go check it out. It's gotten near 1 million views on various platforms.
Good for you.
Thank you. Up top.
I'm not doing that again. I'm not. That's the last one for the rest of my life. I'm one and done. Okay.
That's why I love it. I've never said that in my life, and now it.
And now you've said it twice.
It's
in
called
less than 20
in
minutes.
the biz. We call that a callback.
Okay. Can we stop calling back to that?
We could work on it.
Okay,
I'm gonna
thanks.
work on it.
All right,
You know what?
cool.
I'm gonna work on it.
Cool. You do that.
But the column is about people are learning the truth about October 7th, and it changes everything. And it's a 2-part series. You'll find the part 2 is there's a link to that at the bottom of part 1. But this one is about how many people Israel killed on October 7th. How many Israelis Israel killed on October 7th. Quite possibly the vast majority of those killed on October 7th Israelis killed on October 7th were by Israel. And I give it, there's plenty of links, there's sources. So if you have friends or family who don't believe this shit, send them this column because it is filled with quotes by the former defense minister and war criminal, Yoav Gallant. It's filled with it. So go check it out. That's at reallycamp.substack.com.
The other thing, I just wanted to remind folks that on November 18th at 7 p.m. Eastern, I am doing an event with Mohammed Bamieh and Athar Zia raising funds for doctors in Gaza. So,
and that one, anyone can attend. You don't have to be in Raleigh. So
no, it's on Zoom. So you can just go to artkillingapathy.simpletix.com and
artkillingapathy.simpletix.com. And Simpletix also wanted to confuse you. It's TIX. TIX, not TICK. So TIX. Artkillingapathy.simpletix.com. All right, let's keep going. And in terms of whether we get to $100 for an extra 15 minutes of show, we're at $45 or $47 right now. So just a little update there. And let's
how are
keep
you
moving.
keeping track of this?
It's called math.
Yeah, well,
I'm not that good at it.
That waved bye-bye to me a long time ago.
I'm not that good at it, but I can handle that. Okay. I actually wanted, this is a segue into the part of the topic you're going to cover. CBS is reporting that ICE's detainee population, so these are people they have black bagged and they have in U.S. custody or prisons or whatever they've formed, internment camps. It's now broken the record for people for ICE internment. 66,000 people have been black bagged. These are not the ones that have been deported. These are the ones that they just put in ICE prisons and try to find a way to deport them. And they're probably waiting for various aspects of the legal procedures and stuff. But 66,000 people black bagged in ICE prisons right now. But no, it's not fascism.
I know that you probably don't see these, and that's good. There's some absolutely horrific videos of literally like babies being ripped from their mother's arms as Gestapo try to detain the mother. And there is a dire need. So I think it's important to have people who are trained to go to these places and document. I'm also going to say this hypothetically for any of our lovely law enforcement agencies who might later look at this. Hypothetically speaking, it would be good to have people who are able and willing to place their bodies in between Gestapo and their targets.
Yeah.
Hypothetically
and in some places there are.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's get to this.
This is in the chapter of this week's show called "Fascists Are Gonna Fash." So the ICE-Israel connection. This is from Sovereign Media, who do really great work, anti-imperialist media.
It's titled "Unmasking the ICE-Israel Connection."
Right.
Thank you, Nadia, for supporting the show.
So the first thing is basically the tech, right? And we hear about this quite a bit. I covered recently that there's a I think I actually put this in the show too, but it's like the biggest US drone manufacturer called Skydio, who has shipped like 100 plus.
I just covered it Wednesday.
Okay.
I was calling it Skidio. Is it Skydio?
I mean, it's
That makes sense.
it's
They're in the sky. Maybe I called it.
I mean,
maybe
it's
I
dumb.
might have said Skydio.
You know
I
what?
don't know.
Here you go. I hope I'm mispronouncing your stupid fascist fucking company name, okay? I hope I'm saying it wrong. F you. They've
Skidamarinky Doo has just shipped. Yeah.
They've shipped like 100 plus of these horrific drones to be used in Gaza. And guess what? They have contracts with more than 800 law enforcement and surveillance companies in the United States. So that's cool. So that's one of these examples of how tech is shared. And of course, ICE is part of this. You know, they've purchased spyware and surveillance tools also from Israeli companies such as Paragon Solutions, which enable phone hacking, data scraping, and location tracking. There are a lot of great resources out there for how to, if you have one of these smartphones. A lot of people are just getting flip phones, which I'm here for that. But there are a lot of good tools and tips on how to use your phones in a safer way. Just simple things like, you know, using Signal instead of regular messaging and stuff like that, turning off location services. If you're going to a protest, not taking that phone with you, having like a burner phone. So there's a lot of tips and tricks that can minimize the amount of kind of easy surveillance that they can do, right? Of course, then that information that ICE gets is shared with a bunch of other agencies. Elbit Systems built much of the US-Mexico border surveillance infrastructure, including radar towers, drones, and remote sensors that, of course, were first tested on Palestinians in the occupied West Bank and Gaza. The BIRD Homeland Security Program jointly funds research between the DHS and Israel's Ministry of National Security. Something, America first, something. To develop new technologies for border protection, basically just surveillance and tracking. And of course,
I feel like a lot of this is also Palantir.
Oh yeah,
sounds very Palantir.
Oh yeah, 100%. And of course, we've talked about this on the show before. What's known as the Deadly Exchange, the direct trainings and exchanges. So DHS, ICE's parent agency, has maintained a liaison office in Israel, institutionalizing coordination and counterterrorism and border security. So basically, like, Israeli forces are teaching the ICE agents how to be more fascist. So ICE and CBP agents regularly participate in these seminars that are held in Israel, sponsored by the ADL.
Hey, Anti-Defamation League. For those not in the acronym game.
Sorry, yes. The ADL sends police chiefs, ICE agents, and CBP officers to train with the Israeli occupation forces, learning the very tactics that you see being used on Palestinians.
Yeah, and I can't remember if it was Mint Press I was reading or maybe Intercept, but they were giving some examples of things that are common now in the U.S. that initially came from Israel. One of them being cops rolling down the streets with bright lights on is just designed to keep everyone scared and inside and not really connecting or joining up with others in their neighborhood and things like that. Even when there's nothing to do there. They're not there to arrest someone. They're just making sure that you in your neighborhood feel like there's fascists out there on the streets. Thank you, Dan, for supporting the show. Goddamn right.
In 2022, DHS signed new bilateral security cooperation arrangements with Israel, expanding joint work on biometric data sharing, cyber intelligence, and border surveillance technology. So these are shared intelligence databases, which entrenches U.S. immigration policing with tools of military occupation. Duh, because that was always how it was meant to be. So, like, the violent genocidal occupation that is Israel is teaching ICE and CBP how to do that here. And again, if you see these videos, yeah, this is what it reminded me, one of the videos that I saw, I was like, God, this reminds me of shit that I've seen from Gaza or the occupied West Bank, you know, men with guns basically like forcing kids into unmarked cars. It's like it is that dark.
Yep.
And I think that a lot of folks want to be like, well, it can't be that, but it is that bad. And that's again why I think that making these connections is important, because just like Hitler got a lot of his ideas from, you know, Jim Crow and how the US treated it and genocided the indigenous peoples of so-called United States, Israel gives us a lot of our current ideas on how to treat what the United States considers and has always considered lesser than human.
We're at $70. If we get to 100, I'll do an extra 15 minutes of show for you. So.
And again, this is tied to the boost that ICE got, the $165 billion over 5 years to add 10,000 new agents, making it the largest federal law enforcement agency in the country. And this is an agency, by the way, that didn't exist when I was born. I think a lot of people need to understand that this shit is younger than like it. There are people who are
Britney Spears.
But she's like old now, so
I know. That was a joke.
It's like when Macaulay Culkin tweeted, "You want to feel old? I just turned 40," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
And that was 32 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
He tweeted that.
That was before. That was when you had to write out your tweets with your hand.
Yeah, handwritten tweets. Those were the days, man.
But again, like there's this idea that it's like always been there, you know, like the credit score, which is also just from the 80s. So. But like ICE literally happened after 9/11. So it's like we think of these things as, oh, well, that's just always been there. Now the ideology has always been there, right? Because the US has always been anti-immigrant. It's always been anti Black and brown folks, indigenous folks. But the institution that is ICE is very young. So I think that it's important to highlight that. And if you want to check out more from Sovereign Media, they do great work. And this is a great set of infographics that really shows how deep that connection is. Because again, fascists are going to fash.
Fascists are going to fash. Thank you, Arlene, for getting us over the line. So I'll be doing an extra 15 minutes. Unfortunately, Eleanor has to go at the top of the hour. Let's see. Oh, I do have one more thing. Right, this is not a news story, so you'll still get out on time.
It's not a news story.
Not a different topic.
Oh,
this is video of some more ways to fight against these ICE raids. And I like this one because it's, you know, there's a lot of people with English as a second language or maybe no English at all, and they can just print this out and put it on their car or put it on the window of their home. And for those of you listening to the podcast, it's just a poster that says, I remain silent, no searches. I want my lawyer. Put any tickets under the windshield wiper. I'm not required to sign anything. I'm not required to hand you my license. Thus, I am not opening my window. I will comply with clearly stated lawful orders. And they hold this up on their window when cops or ICE or anyone, they're often not well marked,
yeah, they're not.
walk up to their cars. And you know, I really like this technique because you don't have to remember all of your rights. You don't have to argue with them about whether you have a right. It's printed out. It's easy. Thank you, Arlene, again. And thank you, Ecclesiastes, for supporting the show. Ecclesiastes says unilateral disarmament and demilitarization for the U.S. military-industrial complex. Wow, that was a lot of multisyllabic words. Well done.
Well done you for saying it without tripping over yourself.
Crimes against humanity call for American metanoia. What is that?
Shall I?
I'm
I
unaware.
Look that up.
Man, I was doing so well.
In Christian theology, the term metanoia is often translated as conversion or repentance. Though most scholars agree that this second translation does a disservice to, but whatever them.
Thank you, Ecclesiastes. You know your shit.
It's become linked with Christian prayer, in which a prostration is called a metanoia.
Interesting.
The more you know.
Learn something new every day. But okay, let your friend, I'm sure there's a way. I haven't looked it up. I'm sure there's a way to find that printout online to hold into your car window or whatever. If you have friends who, are documented or undocumented, or just fear that the ICE might be coming for them next, forward that to them and they can print it out and have it ready to go. It's also a nice thing if ICE is at their door, they can slide it under the door and say, "Here's something for you to read." Okay, folks, Eleanor is heading out, but I am going to do an extra 15 because you guys fucking rock. And just give us 1 second to do the
do my scoot.
I'll let you do the scoot this time.
See,
I'm letting you do it.
Thank you, because it brings joy into my life.
You know what? It's not the quite production level I prefer for this show. Oh, you're tied to that. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
And then we see her just run out that back window that's behind me, and she pulls a parachute and just shoots down into the city of New York.
Can somebody CGI?
Please, someone CGI that. That would be amazing. Okay. Let's keep it going. Oh, and Mark Dansky donated as well over on Rumble. Power to the people. Thank you, Mark, also for supporting the show. So let's see what I want to bring you. Oh, I got some good Israel stuff here. Well, not positive, but good to know that we can get into. The Lancet Medical Journal has come out. They're also the ones who, this is a year and a half ago or whatever, said 186,000 people had been murdered in Gaza. And that number is, way above that. If Stephen Donziger is correct, taking the amount that has been killed since a year and a half ago and extrapolating out to now, it's about 500,000 Gazans who have been murdered. Now, that's obviously not exact, but it is horrifying. But anyway, that was from the Lancet. Here's a new one from the Lancet saying that over 3 million life years have been lost in Gaza. This is, they say the Palestinian Health Ministry in Gaza released a list of names of people directly killed in Gaza. That list is 6,199 people who have been murdered. Now, sorry, 60. Did I say 6? 60. Now, as you guys know, we've said a million times, that number is the least possible number dead in Gaza because it does not count anyone under the rubble. It does not count anyone whose name wasn't known and their body was, found with no signifying marks, so they have no idea who it is. It does not count people who die from famine. It does not count people who die from starvation. It does not count people who die from their wounds. So, later when the people weren't monitoring it, there's so many ways that this isn't the full count. But that aside, they're saying if you take just that number, the 60,000 number, and you take their ages and then, again, extrapolate out how long they were expected on average to live if there wasn't a genocide in Gaza ongoing right now. And this is how long they were expected to live in Gaza prior to October 7th. So still in an open-air prison, but a much better supplied one without bombs landing on their heads. And you take that number as to how long they were expected to live, you will get that 3 million life years have been lost in Gaza. 3 million years of life. It's and imagine what that number is if we weren't only counting the people whose names we know. Like, it's got to be 6 or 10 million life years. Anyway, that report coming out from the Lancet Medical Journal. This is pretty amazing. It's a question, this next clip, a question asked by a journalist at the EU, and he's asking it of the EU chief, and I'll let the clip speak for itself, but you should know that following this exchange, which has gone viral, the journalist has been fired from his job for asking this question.
You have been repeating several times that Russia should repay for the reconstruction of Ukraine. Do you believe Israel should repay for the reconstruction of Gaza, since they have destroyed almost all the strip and the civilian infrastructures? Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriele. It's definitely an interesting question on which I would not have any comment at this stage.
I love that they added the Curb Your Enthusiasm soundtrack at the end of that. But for those of you who maybe couldn't hear his question, he said that the EU has been harping on the fact that Russia should pay because they don't acknowledge it's a proxy war. They don't acknowledge that the U.S. helped and really created it. They don't acknowledge any of that. And so they just say, oh, Russia invaded Ukraine. So they're saying Russia should pay for rebuilding Ukraine, which, of course, would be hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars to repay for rebuilding Ukraine. And so they say Russia should pay, yeah, Russia should pay. And he says, do you feel that Israel should pay for rebuilding Gaza? Notice he's not even saying it's a genocide or anything. He's just saying, should Israel repay for rebuilding Gaza, considering Israel has clearly decimated Gaza? And decimated, the technical term, actually doesn't do it justice, because decimated means 1 out of every 10, basically means 10% destroyed, hence the deci. It is not 10%. It is utterly razed to the ground. And he's saying, should Israel pay for the reconstruction? She has no answer on that. Funny. You seem to have an answer on Russia. You seem to know that one quite well. Oh, Russia should repay for rebuilding Ukraine. But Israel, no, not so much. Not so much. Don't know. And that journalist was then fired for asking what is a fairly obvious question. Okay, let's see what I want to get to next. This is corporate America getting together, joining together to try and stop CBD and marijuana foods, or whatever you want to call them, from being popular, from being something that Americans purchase in place of Coca-Cola, in place of trying to get high off of Coca-Cola. Major association of corporations, including, there's a union of corporations. It's funny how they're fine with unions when it's them fucking unionizing. When they're a union, when Coca-Cola, Nestle, and General Mills are joining together to have more power as a unit, as a group, because they've united as one, taking their power and gaining more leverage because they're now one powerful thing. Interesting how that works. I wonder if that would work for workers as well. Or do you think it's only for Coca-Cola, Nestle, and General Mills to get together and have more power because they're together? To unify or have a union of sorts. Anyway, a major association of corporations is urging Congress to ban what this article is calling intoxicating hemp products. So basically, hemp products that actually get you high, as opposed to, there's many that don't get you high or have no intoxication. But in a letter sent to the House and Senate leadership, the Consumer Brands Association, CBA, said it wants to see the so-called hemp loophole of the 2018 Farm Bill that legalized the crop closed. And to that end, the organization backed appropriations language led by Rep. Andy Harris to prohibit hemp products containing any quantifiable amount of THC. The proliferation of intoxicating cannabinoid products, including those that contain synthesized Delta-8 and Delta-10 THC, for example, have caused significant investigative and testing challenges, as well as unseen health and safety impacts, they say. Oh, yeah, Coca-Cola doesn't have unseen health impacts, does it? No, not at all. Oh, Nestle and the water that they bought up and sold us with microplastics in it for decades, that didn't have any impact on our health, did it? having pumping microplastics into everybody, did that have any impact at all? No, I wouldn't think so. They're really, the real reason is not because they give a shit about the health of Americans. And by the way, CBD has all these positive health impacts, right? Most of you know that. And then, of course, even intoxicating marijuana has plenty of positive health impacts depending on how you use it. But they don't give a shit about Americans. They don't give a shit about people being healthy. They don't. If Coca-Cola did that, they would ban Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, by definition, is taking water, crystal clear water, and turning it into a brown sludge that if you drank more than like a bottle a day, you're going to die at 25. I mean, that's what it is. Now, I'm not saying people shouldn't have it, just like I think people should enjoy some whiskey. I don't know that whiskey is going to fix your internal organs either. But I think you should have a right to have Coca-Cola, but you should also have a right to have intoxicating hemp products. I mean, hell, have you seen the reality around us? People need to get intoxicated sometimes. For God's sakes. But of course, we know what this is. This is corporate America being upset that people, they go to the store and they buy certain things and it's not as much Coca-Cola. It's not as much Nestle. By the way, you'd think Nestle makes a shit ton out of people having the munchies. And General Mills? Come on, guys. Are you? I feel like they don't see the forest for the trees. You guys, the amount of money General Mills and Nestle and whatever else Coca-Cola owns make from the munchies must be astronomical. Anyway, but they apparently think that they're losing out to CBD products and hemp products. So they're now trying to get Congress to stop allowing these products. Thank you, Nadia. Nadia says, for supporting the show. Nadia says, remember dissolving teeth in Coca-Cola experiments. Yeah, apparently Coca-Cola is also excellent for like cleaning your toilet bowl as well, I think. So, there are, I will say that. If you have Coca-Cola as a toilet cleaner, okay, then that's fine. I'm fine with that. No complaints here. Let's see. Okay, here's a good way to finish up the show. This is a great. You guys are going to be thankful you got the extra 15 minutes. This is a clip of a 1980s CIA whistleblower revealing what exactly the CIA is about. And then we'll wrap up. By the way, there was a new Unredacted Tonight last night. So if you haven't seen it, I hope you'll go to leecamp.com/unredacted and watch the latest episode. The main segment is on Trump's new homeless internment camps that have begun being built. The first one is in Utah, where homeless people are grabbed up against their will and put in camps. And anyway, that's the main segment. The second segment on Unredacted Tonight was about the harm that screens can do to our mind if we overdo it, if we OD on the screenage. The new studies that are what they're saying about what that's doing to us. But that's at leecamp.com/unredacted. But here is a CIA whistleblower from the 1980s, John Stockwell. He was in the CIA, and here he has a little something to say about the.
We've set out to overthrow functioning constitutional democracy. We've set out to overthrow functioning constitutional democracies in over 20 countries. We manipulated elections in dozens of countries. We created standing armies and directed them to fight. We went after to organize ethnic minorities to encourage them to revolt. The first thing we did in Nicaragua was to go to the Mosquito Indians, who had never gotten along with the other people in Nicaragua very well, and give them more money than they had seen in the entirety of history, and arms and training and rationales and sanctuaries in Honduras, and sent them into Nicaragua to attack, kill, fight, rape, burn, pillage. And this has been a technique the CIA has used in Nicaragua, in Thailand, in Vietnam, in Laos, in the Congo, in Iran, Iraq with the Kurds, in different parts of the world. We created, trained, and funded death squads like the Treasury Police in El Salvador. And we've assassinated world leaders, including the United States President in 1963. And I'll get to that in more detail in just a moment. You can never be sure how many people are killed in the jungles of Laos or the hills of Nicaragua. But adding them up as best we can, we come up with a figure of 6 million people killed, minimum figure. It has to be more than that. These things are all done in countries of the third world where the governments don't have the power to force the United States to stop destabilizing the country and brutalizing their people.
Pretty well sums it up, doesn't it? Feel like he knows what he's talking about. By the way, Sherez, thank you for donating over on Rumble. Yeah, he nailed a lot of them. I just covered another U.S. assassination over on Government Secrets, or my other podcast, Government Secrets. If you want to hear about the reality behind the Panama invasion, the 1980, is 89 or 86? I always get it wrong. 89, because it was after Reagan. The 1989 invasion of Panama. And by the way, the name of that operation that killed thousands of people, even though they claim it only killed hundreds, was Operation Just Cause, but I think it's really Operation Just Cause, because there's not a good reason for why they did it. But I reveal the real reasons for the invasion of Panama. That's in my podcast this week, Government Secrets. You can also watch it on my YouTube, youtube.com/Moment of Clarity. Click the live tab, and it's like the third one back or something. But within that episode, I talk about how Noriega came to power in Panama after the head of Panama, technically general, but the head of Panama, Torrijos, was killed in a plane crash after a few years of heading towards socialism and privatizing things in Panama and fighting to get a deal where Panamanians in Panama get back control of the Panama Canal. His plane just, I don't know, it's craziest. As we mentioned in the episode, one of the number one causes of planes going down is having a socialist president on board. That's one of the, they've looked at aviation accidents around the world. One of the top cause is if a socialist president is on board. Or sometimes it's not socialist, it's just kind of an anti-U.S. leader. Like, same goes for helicopters, like Iran. I can't think of any helicopters that have gone down recently. Iran, where it was someone that Israel and the U.S. wanted to take out. Iran, but I'm sure there's a list out there somewhere. RD Baller, thanks for supporting the show. Really appreciate it. You guys have really stepped up for supporting the show today, and I can't thank you enough. And he also mentions is it Stockwell? Stockwell also mentions the 1963 killing of JFK, which, as I've covered before, was, and you don't have to read that many books. You can read like one book on it and see that the CIA killed JFK. One of my favorites is JFK and the Unspeakable. But yeah, so we'll wrap on that, which means here's a point about the death of JFK that I feel like is not made even by people that mention that Rats is asking his name. It's John Stockwell. Even by people that say that the CIA killed Kennedy, it means that in the United States right now, we're living in a post-coup nation. Our nation was couped in 1963 by disgusting, horrible, Nazi-aligned powers, and they're still in power. It's still what it is. It didn't change. We're in post-coup America, and it's rarely ever spoken about, that reality. All right. If you haven't got enough, check out that Government Secrets. Also, if you haven't got enough, check out Unredacted Tonight, leakcamp.com/unredacted. Also, if you haven't got enough, check out my viral column about the truth about October 7th. It is at realleakcamp.substack.com. It's a short article. You can also play. I taped a voiceover for it, so you can also play the voiceover while you're cooking dinner or petting your cat or trimming your pubes, whatever you're up to, whatever you're into. You just hit play and you can learn about the truth about October 7th. All right. I will see you Monday. Yeah, Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. You just got to show up because they're not going to tell you that the show ever airs. All right. You guys are the best. Couldn't do without you. Keep fighting.
Well, brother, I salute you, though, man. You're one of the few that bring together this tremendous artistic talent and still be in such deep solidarity with oppressed people.
It's an honor to be here because I'll tell you, Lee, you have one of the funniest shows on television.